It's a unique weekend on the Hong Kong racing calendar this weekend, as for the one and only time this season we're racing on Sunday at Happy Valley. Here's what we've got coming up for you on Hong Kong Direct, and we're going to go back to last week and look at Fiora breaking his runabout in the ladies' purse and the HKR implications for that win. Plus, we'll go behind the scenes with Jeune and the tracks team at Happy Valley. I'm Edward Sadler. It's terrific to have your company on the show. My special guest this week on Hong Kong Direct is Sam Agars from the South China Morning Post. Sam, thanks for your time today.
Thanks for having me, Edward. Pleasure to be here as always.
Always a pleasure to have you on the show, Sam. Before we go right back then to last weekend, let's recap on what's happened so far in Hong Kong racing this week. The standout performance on Wednesday night on the dirt, King's Shield. That was a really taking victory, wasn't it?
It was, Ed. It was huge. I think proved right there and then that he's Hong Kong's premier dirt horse, and in a tough year and tough circumstances as far as travelling horses, hopefully he does get to show his very best overseas, perhaps in Dubai come March. Yeah, definitely. A race like the Godolphin Mile, or even leading up to that on Super Saturday, like the Burj Nahar, both events over a mile on the dirt at Meydan, will be perfect options for him. From a jockey's point of view, Jerry Chow, he's really continued his development this season. The Apprentice, a double on Wednesday night, so he no longer has his £10 claim. No, he doesn't, and he raced to 13 wins. He's fifth in the premiership, and look, he's just going beautifully. A great effort for such a young man, only 20 years of age, and now he's got a little suspension to reflect on his achievements and work out what he's going to do now that he doesn't have that £10. Yes, that's right. So we won't see him this weekend at Happy Valley, or even through the week at Happy Valley. We'll have to wait until next Saturday before we see Jerry in action. He's got the third best strike rate as far as the jockeys in Hong Kong are concerned at the moment. So that's a terrific achievement in itself. But as promised, let's go right back to last weekend. The Sarsa Ladies' Purse is always a significant race on the Hong Kong calendar. This year was taken out by Fiora. To tell us more, though, here's Doug Chalmers.
One of the oldest events on the Hong Kong racing calendar, the Group 3 Sarsa Ladies' Purse is often a significant guide towards the Longines Hong Kong International races in December. And this year's renewal of the event was no exception. All eyes were on Exultant as the Horse of the Year made his return to the races for the first time this season. But instead, he was upstaged by his stablemate, Fiora.
Fiora snatched the lead in the purse and snatched the purse from Exultant and Dances with Dragon, and it's Fiora Sarsa Ladies' Purse.
It was Fiora's first win since he landed the 2019 Hong Kong Derby, and his first since joining Tony Cruz's stable, with the legendary handler celebrating a stable Quinella.
Obviously I expected him to win today. I thought his leader run was pretty good. He was flying home in behind, but he didn't notice much. But the distance was much too short, 1600. 18 would be perfect for him today. And I thought, Joe, we can win this race, you know.
Runner-up Exultant was brave in defeat under the top weight and should take improvement out of the run.
Yeah, I thought it was a good run. Obviously, he was carrying a little bit more condition in body weight. I had to carry top weight, and the pace early was solid. It's his first run for the season, and those horses have all had the benefit of one, two or more runs. So I thought he ran well.
Fiora and Exultant will meet again next time in the Group 2 Jockey Club Cup before Fiora presses on towards a tilt at the Hong Kong Cup, while Exultant will attempt to regain his crown in the Hong Kong Vase on the same day. The highlight of Sunday's undercard at Sha Tin was the Class 2 sprint over 1,000 metres, where Stronger prevailed at his first start for his new stable.
Stronger takes a gap between horses. Hong Kong wins on the far side. Multi-million still in front. Stronger's the one finishing, the stronger of the two, though. Stronger, first up for Douglas White, won it.
Stronger could now take his chances against Hong Kong's best sprinters, with Douglas White suggesting post-race that he could next run in the Group 2 Jockey Club Sprint on November the 22nd. It wasn't just at Sha Tin where HKIR clues were on display on Sunday. Tokyo Racecourse in Japan played host to the Group 1 Tenno Show Autumn over 2,000 metres, where Supermare Armandai picked up her 8th victory at the highest level.
It's Armandai, Chronogenesis and Pheromone. Armandai goes to the wire. She wins and gets into the history books.
After missing the trip to Hong Kong last year due to an elevated temperature, Armandai is entered for both the Hong Kong Mile and Cup, while third place getter Chrono Genesis is entered in both the Hong Kong Cup and Vase.
What a marvellous mare she is, Armandai. Let's go back though, Sam, and work our way through these talking points. Start off at the top then with Fiora taking out the ladies' purse. He hasn't been running bad races. He was placed in Group 1 company on a couple of occasions last season behind Exultant, but that was back to his best really on the weekend, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was. Look, as you said, been running well. Even last year, International Day, he wasn't too far off the mark in the Cup behind Winbright, and been relatively consistent since. Just good to see the 2019 Derby winner show that I guess he's still got that appetite to win.
Definitely, and you now think that he's a live chance, pending what international horses come over for the Hong Kong Cup next month.
Certainly the pick of the local horses, and yeah, just the way he finished off on the weekend shows that there's plenty there, and as you said, depending on what comes, he's going to be flying the local flag and should be right around the mark.
Tony Cruz has got him going really well. It was a 1-2 in the race for Tony, the runner-up being Exultant, the returning horse of the year. What did you make of his first run back? Yeah,
fantastic run from Exultant. All you could have asked for from the reigning horse of the year to I guess racing pretty handy off a decent early speed to finish it off and hit the line like he did. It was great signs for what's to come, and once again, come International Day in the Vase, you'd expect him to be right up there, and yeah, regardless of what comes.
Definitely. Well, he's already beaten horses like Lees Groscher in the Vase when he won it a couple of years ago. You had the Arc winner, Voldgeist, in behind him this year. So his form lines are proven all around the world. And numerically, that was his best ever run in the ladies' purse from the 3 years that he's contested it. Of the others that were in behind Fiora, what do we take out of the race, particularly from a point of view of going forward towards some of our bigger events?
Well, I think Southern Legend was very solid as always. Just never finishes far off the winner, and he's going to be there, I believe, in the Cup come December, and will be giving an absolute a sight as he always does. And one that was disappointing that I thought might offer more was Shafano, and hopefully if ridden with a bit more patience over a further distance should still be able to show something. Yeah, for sure. His previous run was very good, and he was, of course, close behind Exultant in the Champions and Trader Cup last season, so hopefully he can bounce back. I was also really taken with what Dances with Dragon did and what he's been doing this season. Now, you did the write-up on the Class 2 sprint. Stronger, as we heard in that piece there, Sam. Douglas White might have some lofty targets for him. Yeah, he didn't really hold back, Dougie, did he? As he said, John Moore told him when he was getting the horse that he could be a very, very good sprinter, and Douglas is not normally one to get too far ahead of himself, but yeah, he made it pretty clear that he's keen to get a move on with this horse and just see what exactly he can do, probably starting with the sprint race on the trial day on November 22. Yes, if ever there's a time to be having a crack at these big sprint races, with the lack of depth at this point in the sprinting ranks, this could be the time to do it. From Hong Kong then on the weekend, let's go to Japan. Armandai, we know that these are uncertain times that we're in, but if you're writing up a wish list for HKR, she'd be right up the top. She'd absolutely be top, and the Jockey Club were so close to nabbing her last year and having her come out, and that was obviously disappointing. I guess this year there's the added uncertainty of the fact that she's coming towards the end of her career, and they're not sure where they'd like her to have that swan song, I guess. The way I see it, probably Connections might be more likely to choose to run her on home soil and try and go out on a high that way, but there's hope there. The trainer has mentioned Hong Kong is definitely in his plan, so yeah, look, it'd be a surprise for me, but I'd be very happy to be surprised if they went that way. Yeah, I'd love to see her here. Just that turn of foot and that cruising speed that she's got when she turns for home is something to really behold. Chrono Genesis ran well in third. She's a Group 1 winner from the past. And Winbright's another one to take out of that race in terms of he's a dual Hong Kong Group 1 winner who might have just run a little bit below his best in the Tenno Show Autumn last weekend. Yeah, well, that's right. I think it was only his second start since last year's Hong Kong Cup, so I guess there's plenty of improvement for that horse, and not necessarily only fitness-wise, but the fact that he seems to grow another leg when he comes to Sha Tin, and not surprising that Connections are keen to chase a third Hong Kong Group 1 win with Winbright.
Yes, the defending champion from last year's Hong Kong Cup. So that's what happened last weekend and earlier this weekend. After the break, we're going to be looking ahead to what we've got coming up at Happy Valley on the weekend. Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back after this.
HKJC.com is an essential tool in my race day preparation, whether you want
racing news,
horse profile,
chakra,
Speed Pro, race replay,
HKJC.com, bringing Hong Kong racing close to you.
It's incredible the vast amount of information that is available via the Hong Kong Jockey Club website across all aspects of racing here in Hong Kong. This weekend, though, for the one and only time, we've got a Sunday afternoon meeting at Happy Valley. To tell us more about what that city track is like, let's go to Jeune, who caught up with the tracks team there.
Happy Valley Racecourse is one of the most iconic racetracks in the world, offering up an exciting mix of live sport on the track and off it under normal circumstances, an atmosphere like no other with a beer garden and other various entertainment venues. Today, though, we're taking a peek behind the scenes. Very pleased to say I'm joined by Head of Race Day Operations in Stephen Higgins and Happy Valley Racetrack Manager in Kiki as well, braving the weather. It's really turned against us today to have a look at what goes into organising and maintaining the track ahead of a race night or occasionally a race day as well. Stephen, before we get into that, though, could you give us a broad overview of Happy Valley, the racecourse itself?
Yeah, I mean, Happy Valley's been here for over 100 years. It's around about 7 furlongs or 1,400 metres in circumference. And we race predominantly on the ABC and C+3 courses, so we have 4 course moves across, 38 fixtures a season, and generally Wednesday nights, apart from, as you say, the Sunday that we have coming up.
Now, we did one of these last season, kicking with Stephen at Sha Tin. Are there any fundamental changes between managing the racing surface at Sha Tin and here at Happy Valley, which is essentially a night racing fixture?
We have many tall buildings around us, so making it very exciting, grand, and because of this we have higher temperature and with less air movement, so we have to be very careful about the turf management so that we have to keep the grass a little bit shorter and also to have it healthy and with suitable amount of water.
And it goes through, I assume, Stephen, the same sort of process at Sha Tin as when the seasons change, there is a period of changing the racing surf or the grass as well?
Yes, we go from our summer grass, which is a Bermuda species, to winter rye, which is very much like a European species. Last season, actually, because of 1 or 2 problems that we were facing, we didn't actually have a break. We raced through and we overseeded during the racing, which is a real challenge for Kiki, which they pulled off incredibly well. But this season, we do have a little break. So before the Sunday meeting, it'll be overseeded and you'll see the prominence of ryegrass coming through.
One thing I've noticed recently, Steve, I mean, it's been ongoing in Europe for years, but of late I've seen a lot of examples, particularly in France, Christophe Soumillon, Pierre-Charles de Boudot as well. When they've come down the back straight, they sometimes swing wide out, looking for better ground, or they come into the home straight, swinging wide as well, looking for better ground, leaving the field. We very rarely see that here in Hong Kong. Is that because it races so evenly?
Yeah, I think because the margins here are so tight and all the races are handicaps, and the track being a sand profile tends to race evenly across the profile, but also it never gets deep ground. So in France and the UK, as people know at Ascot, people would often go wide looking for better ground. The ground, or the time you save going wide, you'll never make up on the horses on the inside. What you do see here and on certain rail positions, and Joe Moreira is fantastic at it, he'll go wide but then cut in onto the rail as he turns into the straight and make a run up the rail. And while sometimes that's a more dangerous route in terms of potential traffic problems, it's incredibly successful if you can make it work, so they go outside, inside.
And what are we essentially standing on here, Kiki? Because there's Jockey Club headquarters just behind us.
Yes.
There's a car park
Yes.
as well. Are we standing basically on top of the car park right now as well?
Yes, that is an elevated track, we say it, so that we have a shallower profile underneath, but the soil profile on the top will be the same as the other area, so that we still have good drainage, but good water retention for the grasses.
And that's, I suppose, one of the reasons as well when we get these, I mean, this is nothing really, just a light showers. When we get these massive deluges, yes, we'll get a downgrade with yielding or yielding, but that's one of the reasons the track can hold up.
Yeah, I mean, you know, we've had instances here where we've had 5-6 inches of rain 2 hours before racing, and we've raced on good ground. You know, it drains that quickly. So it's like a beach really. It just absorbs water, and the water moves through the profile to the drain on the inside. And as long as it's not heavy rain whilst you're racing and you've got potential surface water, give it half an hour and generally the surface water disappears very quickly and we can get racing.
All right, and in terms of a race night itself, do you get to enjoy the racing itself, or is it just too much going on to sort of stand back and enjoy what's going on?
Yeah, I think, I don't know about Kiki, it's always a sense of achievement. You know, obviously it comes with its stresses, especially, you know, we're turning over, like even tonight, maybe $1.3 billion. So I think that brings the pressure. And Kiki's such a perfectionist, he wants everything to go smooth.
Yes.
And every rail movement, every time we open the rail to let the stalls on, she wants that to be absolutely spot on. So she has a lot more to think about than I do.
No. Everyone shares a burden, and I think our job is to make everything precise and safe for the jockeys and the horses. So rather than any enjoyment, I would feel like it is a tough job that we must do it well.
I know we're in unique times, Sam, but in normal times, Happy Valley on a Wednesday night, or in this instance, Sunday afternoon, it's the place to be in Hong Kong, isn't it?
Certainly is. There's very few racetracks like it, and one of the best places to have a beer and watch the races in the world.
You've been to plenty of race courses all across the place in Australia and on your travels as well too, and sporting venues in general. What is it as a sports fan or as a race goer that makes Happy Valley so appealing?
I think there's a number of things. Obviously the setting, right in the middle of the city, with all the big buildings around, and to think there's a racetrack amongst all of that, and that Hong Kong's been able to maintain that when a lot of cities are moving big sporting facilities out of cities is just amazing, and just the ease of the whole experience, being able to jump on the tram, roll into the racetrack, wander into the beer garden, and basically stand like you're in someone's backyard, but you've got the races live right there is an experience like no other.
Yeah, to be so close to the action at such an iconic racecourse right in the heart of the city is absolutely sensational. So that's where we're going to be heading on Sunday afternoon for a 10-race card. It's in fact a Happy Valley double-header because we'll be racing under the bright lights there next Wednesday before a Saturday fixture at Sha Tin, where the Panasonic Cup at Class 1 level will be our feature race. And as mentioned before, for further information, go to the website or follow us through Twitter and other social media platforms. Let's have a look at the best of the weekend's action then. It comes up as the last Sam, a Class 2 sprint over 1,200 metres. Let's assess some of the key contenders. Classic Unicorn was an impressive winner last time out. He's not going around in this race, but Gunnison ran a terrific race at big odds, and Highland Fortune kicked off in this event as well too.
Yeah, Gunnison, I guess, was a bit of a surprise packet, wasn't he? First start for Me Choi, and he's a horse that's been around a while, but yeah, it was a great run, and he showed that there might just still be something left to give. Okay, well that's Gunnison. Let's learn more about Highland Fortune. He was first up over 1,000 metres in that event last time out. Was that distance a bit on the sharp side for him? You think it probably was. Back to the 1,200 looks suitable, and he's been there and done that at Happy Valley, and you should expect him to be right in the finish come Sunday. You would for sure. Let's get Zach Purton's take on the chances then of Highland Fortune. He retains the ride on him on Sunday.
Very much so. He got run off his legs the whole way and then just couldn't finish the race off. So 1,200 metres is more suitable. Unfortunately, he's got a bad gate. Just going to have to deal with that. But I think the distance is more up his alley.
And what about the blinkers going on for the first time?
Yeah, he's a thinker. He always has been. Even in the race that I won on him, when he comes up to the other horses, he gets his head up and he wants to shift in and shift out. In the mornings, he's always looking at things. So I think the blinkers should help him. But once again, we're just going to deal with the gate.
He does look like a progressive individual, Highland Fortune, but as Zach points out, he's got a bit of a tricky draw to deal with. Let's move on then, Sam, to some of the other contenders in the race. All in Mind kicks off in this event. Golden Dash ran really well a couple of starts ago, and Green Eon is a recent winner at the City Track. Are those three winning hopes, or who else should we be looking out for here?
I think Golden Dash certainly is, Edward. He's proven his best is good enough to win, and 1200 at the Valley seems his go. So I think he's a horse that'll be, right in amongst it when the whips are cracking. OK, so we've touched on a few of the main players. In short, though, Sam, who wins the last? Good luck, friend, for mine. Looks like he's just got that class edge and should put himself in a winning position. Yeah, racing handy enough to be right around the mark. OK, Sam, we're out of time, but thanks very much for joining us this week on Hong Kong Direct. Thank you very much for having me, Ed. Always a pleasure. Thanks to Sam Agars from the South China Morning Post for taking the time to join us here on the show this week. That's it, though. We're going to finish off by continuing on with the Happy Valley theme and a memorable performance from Happy Valley in recent years. Well, we've got to go back to Mr Stunning's debut at the start of 2016, the launching pad for a super sprinting career in Hong Kong.
Stand by, they're off and racing. Ocean Roar got away well, as indeed did Lyric Ace. Two of the early pace angles are out pretty well. Also up at the pace is Mr Right. Adventurer, the orange headgear, is up the inn. A bit of a gap then to Heavenly Masters. Gentilis is after that, followed then by Trendful, then King Windsor, the plunge horse. Then Mr Stunning, who's been held up, and then St Yazin and Plain Blue Banner at the back of the field as they make their way down towards the final 600. And Lyric Ace kicks on here to, in second position, Ocean Roar. Then up the inside, Adventurer, who was just short of a little bit of room there. Mr Right now is racing in fourth position as they begin to make the turn. After that, at the inside, King Windsor is trying to get a little bit closer as well, and then Heavenly Masters, who's right round the outside. But Lyric Ace is really searing the turf here as they turn for home and go inside the final 300 to Ocean Roar in second. Mr Right is now trying to pick them up after that. Gentilis followed by Heavenly Masters, and Mr Right has quickly gone on here to Ocean Roar, who can offer no more. Mr Stunning is absolutely thundering home. Mr Right and Mr Stunning to the line. It's going to be tight, very close. Mr Stunning, I think, got there though to Mr Right, who came there to win his race, but reckoned without a very, very promising horse.